What would you do if the company that rejected you at 16 came back 4 years later with $300 million and needed you to save them? Not wanted you, needed you. Because here's the thing about Alex, she didn't just say no. She said no into a microphone, in front of a room full of journalists, and she made sure the whole world heard every word. But to understand why that moment hits so differently, you have to go back to the beginning, back to a girl playing tennis on cracked courts in Quezon City, where the net sagged and the heat never let up and nobody from the outside world was paying any attention. Alex didn't grow up with a biomechanics coach analyzing her serve. She didn't have air-conditioned academies or sports scientists tracking her recovery. What she had was a racket, relentless work ethic, and a family that believed in something they couldn't yet prove to anyone else. And somehow that was enough. By the time she was 8 years old, Globe Telecom took a chance on her. Not a massive deal, not a life-changing sum, just enough belief to keep the dream breathing. She was a kid with fire in her eyes, and one company saw it before the world did. Fast forward to 16, and she's not just a kid with potential anymore. She's a Grand Slam champion. The 2022 U.S. Open Girls Singles title made her the first Filipino to ever win a Junior Grand Slam singles crown. Let that land for a second. The first. Ever. Headlines exploded back home. A country that practically runs on basketball suddenly couldn't stop talking about this teenager destroying opponents on the other side of the world. Brands that had never cared about her started circling. And that's when a corporation, let's call them Titan Sports, a multi-billion-dollar equipment giant, came calling. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because Titan Sports didn't come with a fair offer, they came with an agenda. Their representatives flew out to Spain, where Alex was training at the Nadal Academy, polished suits, rehearsed smiles, all the corporate theater, and they laid out what they called an exciting partnership. 3 years. Equipment sponsorship. $60,000 a year. For a Grand Slam champion. Think about that number. $60,000 annually. And if that wasn't insulting enough, buried in the contract was the real price. Image rights, tournament schedule control, social media approval, her voice, her identity, packaged and sold as their diversity ambassador for Southeast Asian market expansion. They wanted the Filipino angle because it sold products in Manila and Jakarta, but they didn't want to pay what that angle was actually worth. Her father, Michael, a former player himself, read every line. Her mother, Riza, a former national swimmer who knew exactly how these systems worked, shook her head. When the family pushed back and asked for terms that actually matched her achievements, Titan Sports did something that would haunt them for years. They sent an email. Professional, cold. 2 paragraphs. After careful consideration, we've decided to pursue other partnerships. We wish Alexandra the best. Translation? We thought you were desperate enough to say yes. You weren't, so you're done. And that night, 16-year-old Alex cried. Not because of the money her family had managed before and would manage again. She cried because of what the rejection meant. That somewhere, in a boardroom full of people who'd never competed at anything, her worth had been calculated and found insufficient. That a Filipina teenager, however talented, wasn't considered valuable enough to treat with basic respect. She posted nothing, said nothing publicly, just stored the lesson somewhere deep and got back to work. And what happened next is the kind of story that sounds too good to be scripted, except it's real. The 4 years that followed weren't just growth. They were detonation. The 2025 season became something else entirely. Miami Open, March 2025. Alex dismantles 5-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek in straight sets. Not squeaks past her. Dismantles her. Advances to the semifinals of a WTA 1000 event like she belongs there because she does. Commentators are struggling to find words. Filipino fans who'd flown all the way to Florida are screaming. A basketball-obsessed nation is glued to tennis. Sponsors start paying very close attention. Nike expands their partnership. Babolat builds her a signature racket. Bank of the Philippine Islands puts her face on nationwide campaigns. Then Eastbourne in June, she reaches her first WTA Tour final, becoming the first Filipina to ever accomplish that. Then Guadalajara in September, WTA 125 singles title, another record, another first. By early 2026, she's inside the top 30 in the world, has career prize money over $1 million, and the markets that Titan Sports had completely ignored are now driving the fastest growth in Asian tennis equipment sales, growth that's benefiting every brand except them. Do you see what's happening? While Alex was building, Titan Sports was bleeding. Their Southeast Asian division is hemorrhaging market share. Their brand ambassadors, the athletes they signed instead of Alex, are generating almost no engagement. Their social media campaigns are flopping. Internally, executives are panicking. Because 40% of their projected growth in Asian markets has been captured by competitors who took the bet on Alex early, and Titan has nothing. Their board is asking the question that should have been asked 4 years earlier. How do we fix the Alex mistake? Their answer? $300 million. 10 years. $30 million a year. Numbers that matched what Nike gave Federer in his prime. Their new CEO, Richard Ashford, didn't even go through proper channels. He flew personally to Abu Dhabi during the Mubadala Open, watched from a luxury box as thousands of Filipino fans turned the stadium into something that felt like home, and then ambushed Alex in the players' lounge after her quarterfinal win, champagne he'd smuggled past security in hand, to make his pitch. Now stop right there. Because this is one of the most telling details in the entire story. A CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation snuck champagne past security to corner an athlete after a match because he was that desperate. That's not a negotiation. That's a surrender wrapped in a sales pitch. And the contract he presented made the desperation even clearer. Yes, $300 million on the surface. But underneath that number, exclusive equipment rights, image licensing across every platform, mandatory corporate appearances, creative approval over her social media, and tournament schedule decisions made by their marketing team, not her coaches. They wanted to buy her career and call it a partnership. Her agent, Maria Gonzalez, read the fine print and said it plainly. This isn't a sponsorship. It's indentured servitude with a massive price tag. And Titan Sports had the nerve to go to the press before she'd even made a decision, leaking the negotiations to business outlets, spinning themselves as generous benefactors rescuing a struggling athlete. Except Alex wasn't struggling. Her 2025 earnings alone exceeded $650,000 in prize money. She had existing deals, climbing rankings, and a career that was ascending on its own terms. She didn't need saving. They needed her. She took 72 hours to decide. 3 days while every pundit and columnist in the Philippines weighed in with opinions she never asked for. 3 days of thinking about the 16-year-old who cried reading a 2-paragraph rejection email. 3 days where the question wasn't really about money at all. It was about what kind of athlete and what kind of person she wanted to be. On March 15, 2026, she called a press conference in Indian Wells. Every reporter in that room assumed she was there to announce the deal. She walked to the podium, looked directly at the cameras, and said 7 words that immediately became historic. And declining Titan Sports' $300 million offer. The room didn't just react, it detonated. And then she explained why, calmly, methodically, without a single crack in her voice. She laid out what happened at 16. She named the email. She described the terms that would have controlled her life. And then she looked at everything she'd built since, the rankings, the titles, the victories over champions, and said this: they don't want to sponsor me. They want to purchase me. They want to own my image, control my schedule, and call it a partnership. I've worked too hard and overcome too many things to hand that over to anyone. My career belongs to me, to the Philippines, and to everyone who believed in me when these corporations didn't. So they can keep the $300 million. I'll build my legacy without them. What happened next unfolded fast. Richard Ashford, watching a press conference live from headquarters, reportedly destroyed his laptop. Titan stock dropped as investors recognized the scale of the PR disaster. Social media became a wildfire. #RespectAlex trended globally within hours. Serena Williams tweeted support. Naomi Osaka posted. Athletes across every sport were commenting. And the brands paying attention? Nike restructured their deal immediately. Better terms. Full respect for her independence. Babolat increased their commitment without demanding control. Adidas came to the table with a proposal that was the opposite of Titan's: fair compensation, creative input on Filipino-inspired designs, scheduling flexibility, no image rights colonization. She signed with Adidas within weeks, and their stock jumped 3% when the announcement dropped. Because investors understood what Titan had missed all along, the partnership wasn't the prize. Alex was the prize. And the ripple went further than anyone anticipated. Other Filipino athletes started renegotiating contracts, citing what people were now calling the Alex standard. Young players on ITF circuits started wearing bracelets with 3 letters: DOP, dignity over profit. 15-year-olds going into their first sponsorship talks with more leverage than professional athletes had a decade ago because one 20-year-old Filipina had proved that standing firm actually worked. Meanwhile, Titan Sports fell apart quietly. 6 months after the rejection, they withdrew from Southeast Asian markets entirely. Their regional division dissolved. Hundreds of jobs gone. The $300 million they offered Alex was supposed to save them. Instead, their refusal to treat her fairly at 16 had set off a chain reaction that ultimately cost them over $2 billion in lost revenue, collapsed partnerships, and destroyed market share. Richard Ashford resigned under pressure. Business schools began using the case as a warning, not just about recognizing athlete value, but about what happens when arrogance masquerades as strategy. As for Alex, she kept playing. Dubai quarterfinals, Madrid Open, Wimbledon preparations. By 2028, she's world number 12, has 3 WTA titles, 2 Grand Slam quarterfinals, over $8 million in career prize money, and an endorsement portfolio generating $12 million a year from brands that actually respect her. Courts are being built in Philippine provinces that never had them. Kids who grew up thinking tennis was someone else's sport are picking up rackets. A pipeline of future champions is forming, built on the foundation she poured. And sometimes, after a victory, she thinks about that 16-year-old reading a cold email in a dormitory, doubting herself, wondering if she'd ever be considered enough. Then she looks at the trophy in her hands, the flags in the crowd. She already was enough. The corporations were the ones who weren't. So, was it worth it? Rejecting $300 million, the criticism, the uncertainty, all of it. Was it worth it? Well, she's still climbing. She's just getting started. And something tells me the answer is going to write itself on the biggest courts in the world.